1969 Plymouth Road Runner occupies a special place in the story of American muscle cars, representing a time when performance, attitude, and affordability came together in a way that few manufacturers have ever managed to replicate. In the late 1960s, Detroit was in the middle of a horsepower war, and every major automaker was trying to capture the attention of young buyers who wanted speed without the luxury price tag. Plymouth answered that demand with the Road Runner, a car that stripped away unnecessary frills and focused on delivering pure V8 performance wrapped in bold, unmistakable styling. Decades later, the legend of the Road Runner remains strong, and even worn examples or incomplete chassis can spark enormous interest among enthusiasts who dream of bringing them back to life in dramatic fashion. Today, the idea of Plymouth returning as a brand sometimes surfaces in conversations among muscle car fans. If the parent company behind Chrysler, Dodge, and Jeep ever decided to resurrect Plymouth and reintroduce the Road Runner as a modern high-performance sedan or coupe capable of competing with European icons like the BMW M3 or Audi RS6, the excitement would likely be overwhelming. The heritage alone would be enough to create a frenzy among enthusiasts. People who grew up admiring vintage Mopars would rush to dealerships just for the chance to experience a modern interpretation of such a legendary nameplate. For now, however, that remains firmly in the realm of imagination, and the closest connection fans have to the Road Runner's legacy comes from browsing online marketplaces and auctions where surviving examples occasionally appear. Among those listings, one can sometimes find what collectors call a rolling chassis, essentially a car that retains its body, frame, and many structural components but lacks a functioning powertrain. These vehicles can look rough and incomplete, but for the right buyer, they represent an exciting opportunity. Instead of paying a premium for a fully restored classic, an enthusiast can start with a foundation and build the car exactly the way they envision it. In the case of a 1969 Plymouth Road Runner, even a bare chassis carries enormous potential, especially when paired with modern performance ideas like a Hellcat engine swap or perhaps a naturally aspirated 392 HEMI. Projects like these combine vintage muscle car character with modern engineering, creating machines that bridge two generations of performance culture. The Road Runner's story begins with a simple concept. Take a mid-size car, install a powerful engine, remove unnecessary luxury features, and sell it at a price that young performance enthusiasts could afford. Plymouth executives understood that many buyers didn't need plush interiors or excessive chrome. What they wanted was speed, attitude, and a sense that their car could dominate the street or the drag strip. The result was the Road Runner, introduced for the 1968 model year and named after the famous cartoon bird known for its speed and mischievous personality. The partnership with the cartoon franchise even led to the inclusion of the iconic beep beep horn, a playful detail that made the car instantly recognizable and helped it stand out in a crowded muscle car market. Within Plymouth's lineup, the Road Runner quickly developed a personality of its own. If the Barracuda represented the youthful performance side of the brand and the luxurious GTX served as the refined powerhouse, the Road Runner became something different entirely. It was the rebellious spirit of Plymouth's muscle lineup, a car that embraced raw performance and straightforward design. Some enthusiasts have even described it as the soul of the brand, capturing the essence of what Mopar performance meant during that golden era. It wasn't the most luxurious car in the lineup, but it was arguably the most honest. The Road Runner was built on Chrysler's B-body platform, one of the most versatile architectures used across multiple Mopar models during the late 1960s and early 1970s. This platform underpinned vehicles like the Plymouth Belvedere, Plymouth Satellite, Dodge Coronet, Dodge Super B, and the famous Dodge Charger. Sharing this platform meant the Road Runner benefited from a strong structural foundation and a wide range of available components. At the same time, its unique styling, performance orientation, and marketing identity ensured that it never felt like just another variation of a shared platform car. In the context of late 1960s American vehicles, the Road Runner was considered a mid-size car. That classification might seem surprising today, given that many cars from that era appear enormous by modern standards. However, compared to the truly massive full-size cars built on Chrysler's C-body platform, such as the Plymouth Sport Fury, the Road Runner was relatively compact. Still, when parked next to something like the smaller Plymouth Barracuda, it was clear that the Road Runner had a broader, more muscular presence. Its proportions emphasized strength and stability, traits that complemented its performance-oriented nature. By 1969, the Road Runner had entered its second year of production, and Plymouth chose to maintain much of the successful design introduced in 1968. From the outside, the differences between the two model years were subtle, but several important options were added that enhanced the car's performance credentials. One of the most notable was the air grabber hood, a dramatic feature that could scoop fresh air directly into the engine. This hood design not only improved performance but also gave the car an even more aggressive visual identity. Alongside the air grabber, buyers could also choose heavy-duty suspension components and front disc brakes, both of which contributed to better handling and stopping power. Performance was always the central focus of the Road Runner, and its engine lineup reflected that priority. The base engine was the formidable 383 cubic inch B-Series V8, equipped with a 4-barrel carburetor and rated at 335 horsepower. In the late 1960s, that level of power placed the Road Runner firmly among the top performance cars available to the average buyer. For those seeking even greater capability, Plymouth offered two legendary upgrades: the 426 cubic inch HEMI V8 and the massive 440 cubic inch Big Block V8. Both engines transformed the Road Runner into an intimidating street machine capable of delivering breathtaking acceleration. The 426 HEMI engine, in particular, held a special reputation. Known for its hemispherical combustion chambers and race-derived design, it produced immense horsepower and torque. Cars equipped with the HEMI were capable of extraordinary performance for their time, often outpacing exotic European sports cars that cost several times as much. When fitted with the HEMI engine, the Road Runner could accelerate through the quarter mile in under 13 seconds, an astonishing achievement in 1969. That level of performance made it one of the most formidable muscle cars of the era and cemented its reputation among enthusiasts. Looking back today, 1969 is often considered one of the peak years of the muscle car movement. Manufacturers were producing some of their most powerful and visually distinctive vehicles, and the cultural fascination with speed and performance was at its height. The Road Runner stood proudly among those icons, representing a perfect blend of affordability, style, and raw power. For many enthusiasts, cars from that era feel like rolling time capsules, reminders of a moment when American automotive culture celebrated bold design and unapologetic horsepower. The particular 1969 Road Runner chassis currently attracting attention tells a slightly different story, however. While it once represented the peak of muscle car engineering, time has not been entirely kind to it. The vehicle now appears in a condition that reflects decades of inactivity and storage. According to the listing, the car originated as a 440-powered example, a fact hinted at by the emblem still visible on the hood. That hood also carries the distinctive N96 air grabber system, one of the most sought-after options for collectors and restorers. Originally, this Road Runner was finished in B5 blue, one of Plymouth's most beloved colors from the muscle car era. The bright blue paint gave the car a vibrant personality that perfectly matched its performance capabilities. Inside, the seats were upholstered in white vinyl, creating a striking contrast with the exterior color. Together, those elements would have made the car a visual standout when it first rolled off the assembly line. Over the years, the car spent a remarkable amount of time in storage, reportedly remaining indoors for roughly 45 years. While long-term storage can sometimes protect vehicles from the harsh effects of weather and corrosion, it can also leave them neglected and incomplete. In this case, the extended indoor storage likely helped limit rust damage, which is often the greatest concern for classic car restorations. Nevertheless, the vehicle still requires extensive work before it can return to the road. The most obvious issue is the absence of an engine. Without its original power plant, the Road Runner exists primarily as a rolling chassis, a starting point rather than a finished vehicle. For traditional restorers, this might represent a challenge, as sourcing a period-correct big block engine can be expensive and time-consuming. For modern performance enthusiasts, however, the absence of an engine can actually be an opportunity. In recent years, engine swaps involving modern high-performance power plants have become increasingly popular within the classic car community. The idea of installing a supercharged Hellcat engine into a vintage muscle car has captured the imagination of many builders. With more than 700 horsepower available from the factory, the Hellcat engine delivers performance levels that far exceed what most muscle cars could achieve in the 1960s. Alternatively, some builders prefer the naturally aspirated 392 HEMI engine, which offers impressive power while maintaining a slightly more traditional feel. Either option could transform this aging Road Runner into something extraordinary. Imagine the classic B-body silhouette paired with modern suspension upgrades, contemporary braking systems, and a high-output HEMI engine delivering immense power. Such a build would preserve the visual identity of the original car while dramatically enhancing its performance and drivability. It is precisely this type of vision that often motivates enthusiasts to purchase incomplete classics. Despite its potential, the asking price of $23,900 has sparked debate among enthusiasts. For a car without an engine and requiring significant restoration work, some buyers might consider the price somewhat ambitious. Classic car values have fluctuated in recent years, and project vehicles can be difficult to price accurately. Factors such as rarity, originality, body condition, and included components all influence how much a buyer is willing to pay. Yet there is another way to look at the situation. Even in rough condition, a genuine 1969 Plymouth Road Runner remains a highly desirable piece of American automotive history. The car represents an era that continues to inspire collectors, builders, and fans around the world. For someone with the skills, resources, and vision to bring it back to life, this rolling chassis could become the foundation for a truly remarkable project. Ultimately, the appeal of a classic Road Runner goes beyond numbers or market value. It lies in the emotional connection enthusiasts feel toward the muscle car era and the machines that defined it. Whether restored to original specifications or reborn with modern power under the hood, the 1969 Road Runner still carries the spirit that made it famous. It is a symbol of freedom, creativity, and mechanical ambition, waiting patiently for the right person to give it a second chance at greatness.